So incredible program, Shields and Stripes. It was unbelievable how much it resonated with me and what I felt my needs were. But the outcome is that you really are changing lives, man. You tell me I was going in the wrong direction for my entire life, you know? And now I feel like a lot more solid and just pain-free. I mean, that's insane. I haven't been pain-free in a decade.
And welcome back to Vegas Veteran Voices, the podcast where we do things a little bit differently by talking to vets who do unique things for either passion, purpose, or therapy. Today, we're talking with AJ Kehl. Hey, AJ, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. I'm glad we got to link up, Brenton.
I know. We met over at the Shields and Stripes Foundation, the gala over at, what was it, the Virgin Hotel?
That's right. Incredible event, huh?
Oh, my gosh. It was so cool. That place was absolutely filled. We had a few artists there, and I think it was just incredibly impactful.
It was awesome, man. What an event and what a program. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about the program now that I've gone through it.
Yeah.
It's super exciting and super humbling at the same time.
Yeah. So before we dive into that, you're an Air Force vet.
Yeah, Air Force vet, 22 and a half years, just recently retired out of Misawa, Japan. All in the fire business my entire career with a little stint in kind of business process improvement. But yeah, and then, you know, we have family kind of here on the West Coast and my wife's family's on the West. So Vegas seemed like the natural spot to settle down.
So what was your favorite part about being stationed at Misawa other than the red dot?
Yeah, man, Japan is just an incredible culture. Like, if you haven't been to Japan, it's ridiculous. I mean, everyone's polite. No one's going to steal anything. We never locked our front door. We never took the keys out of the car. No one, you know, you can go to a record store and the records are all open. You can listen to them there. No one's stealing anything. I just love Japan culture, man. And, you know, I'm looking forward to, the family and I have committed to going back to Japan once a year. So it's pretty sweet.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed my time in Misawa. I did about 9 months over there with VQ 138. So that was our deployment where we stayed over there and we had maids every day.
Did you hit those hot springs, the onsen?
Yeah, we were told I couldn't.
Oh, yeah, you got a lot of tattoos. Yeah.
I have a lot of tattoos. But we did a couple deaths down to Okinawa, and then I did get to experience some hot springs down there.
Completely different environment, Okinawa versus North Japan, right? Just two different worlds.
They're like basically two different countries. It's similar to like the United States with like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Like,
or like Guam or something.
Like, yeah, it's under the United States brand, but it's just like two completely separate cultures and like ideals of living. And like you're either on like super fast paced, like Tokyo time, or like you go up to Misawa and you're on like farmer time, and then you go to Okinawa, you're on island time, and everything's just relaxed and chill and laid back.
It's so awesome down there. You know, the Okinawans, my limited understanding is that like when we gave Okinawa back to Japan, that they were really upset down there, you know, because they're the Ryukyu Kingdom, and they wanted to, that's what they wanted to be, is Okinawa, not Japanese. And so they're still kind of like, you can kind of feel that they have their own kind of subculture down there. It's awesome, man. They're both great.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
So after you left the military, walk me through a little bit about your next steps going forward.
Yeah, so, you know, that's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out, right? It's been a couple months now. We're settled into the home. I've got a 14-month little girl at home that I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure, like just hanging with her, man. You know, I haven't had the opportunity to do that being in the military, deploying. This has been really cool to just spend time with the family. There's an identity crisis that comes out of 22 and a half years, regardless of what rank you retire at. None of that matters. If you give 20 years to your country in the military, well, for that matter, shit, I mean, even 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, you come back to the civilian world, you got to kind of learn how to be a civilian. You know what I mean? You feel different in a lot of ways. So I kind of had to work through that identity piece. And then, you know, learning about Shields and Stripes, for instance, I knew that that was an opportunity to kind of make that tangible transition into my civilian life, if that makes sense. So I'm still trying to figure it out, man. I'm here. I officially retire in 2 months. Who's counting? My official data separation is in 2 months, so I'm just kind of chilling out right now and hanging out with great people like yourself, man.
That separation leave is so nice.
Dude,
it's just
unbelievable,
cushy.
Yeah.
But how was the Shields and Stripes program? Because you went there, and for those of us who have never heard of the Shields and Stripes Foundation, it is for holistic recovery for either physical wounds or invisible wounds that are affecting either service members or first responders. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, look, it was so interesting the way it even came about. My wife, who's a registered dietitian, she works some contract work and she works for some other companies, all virtually. So she tells me, she goes, hey, I just contracted with this company called Shields and Stripes. And they help veterans and first responders. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like an admirable thing. Cool, babe, you know? Then like a couple of days later, I'm at the airport. I'm coming home from a business trip, and she says, hey, did you look at where I'm working? Like, it's like speaking to you.
Yeah.
And so I go, all right. So I'm on I got a delay on my flight, and I sit on the airport floor and I pull up Shields and Stripes and I read their story. And it was unbelievable how much it resonated with me and what I felt my needs were. And so I looked at it, and without telling her, I applied for the program, right? So I didn't even tell her. I come home, and the next day I go, oh, by the way, babe, I applied for Shields and Stripes. And she's like, what? Right? Like, I don't know if you could do that. Like, I'm contracted with them. And I go, yeah, but I mean, it spoke to me. What do you want? And then, well, who cares? I'm not going to get picked up anyway. And then as time went on, I was making like the second interview, the third interview, and I was like, oh boy. So when I made it to the final interview, I had to come clean, basically. I was like, hey, before you make your final selections, understand that this is my wife. She works for a company. But I told you my story. It's all honest and true. If you think it's worthy, then great. And they said, great. I appreciate you telling me. And I was still selected. My understanding is there was a lot of applicants. They selected 8 of us to go to Exos in Scottsdale, Arizona for 3 weeks. And then you have 9 weeks of telehealth. I was just super excited, man. So I just got back about a week ago. An incredible crew of 7 others that all had their own unique kind of like journey leading up to that point. And for background, I'm in the fire service, man. As a firefighter, when I was coming up, no one was asking you how you're doing, basically, right? You'd go on a crazy call, somebody died, just super trauma. And it was just like, hey, man, you're good, Over time, that probably built up. Also, I went through a couple divorces during my time in the military, which really made me feel a lot of like shame and guilt and stuff. Like maybe I was a inevitable failure at relationships, and I didn't know what I was doing. So this relationship's probably going to fail too. Shields and Stripes really changed my attitude on a lot of that, man. So you alluded to earlier, Brenton, it's holistic health. How it works is they put you in a hotel. We stayed there in Scottsdale. We had 2 advocates, one of which was a prior athlete, they call them. And we went to Exos. If you're not familiar with Exos, it's where like the NFL Combine guys go, the NBA, all top of the line, strength and conditioning, occupational health, mental health, PT. You have your own RD and your own chef. I mean, are you kidding me, right? Like, it was like ridiculous. But I've never seen a mental health therapist in my life. Towards the end of my career, when I made my way up the ranks, it was about, I want to help other people, but no one was really asking how the caretaker's doing, right? And once I had my retirement and everything, I started thinking like, man, I got things I got to work through. Like, I've been so focused on everyone else. Seeing a mental health therapist every single day when you've never seen one in your life and you've done 20-something years in the fire service is not easy, man.
It feels revelationary. Like having those points of like reflection and talking to someone, it does something to your psyche. It really does. And for someone that has never experienced mental health, how was that going through that?
Yeah. I think the biggest revelation of it all was that it really was a safe environment. Like once we closed the doors, just me and her, we quickly built that rapport, that trust that I knew I can kind of say whatever I needed to say. I can get those skeletons out and not have fear of like judgment or anything like that, And what was interesting is we would work through, hey, what are all the like kind of trauma things of your life that you feel are impactful? It could be, I had, a baby die in my arms, or it could be a personal thing. I listed them all out, and it was the first time in my life that I saw kind of all these things on paper. And we just started attacking them. We started using therapies called EMDR, where they use kind of like your eyes moving back and forth. And it was really about placing these memories that were not properly placed in your mind into a better place. And I'll tell you, man, like if I could see something right here, after I did EMDR, it was like way off in the distance. It was just like, I was joking. I was like, man, what kind of voodoo shit is this? Like, how is that possible that it's that far away and didn't make me feel like it was a threat anymore, you know? So I would say the mental health piece is probably the biggest thing for people out there that want to look into Shields and Stripes. Also, the founder, special operator type of guy, he saw his good friend die in a training accident. And what he did was he realized that all these like health programs that the military offered were all in like functional silos. There was nothing holistic. And he set out to change that. He started a nonprofit and he's been at it ever since. And I'll tell you, hats off to him. His name's Steve. Great guy. He and his wife run this. And literally they're not trying to make any money. They're not trying to do anything but help veterans in need, man. So incredible program, Shields and Stripes.
To be able to do a program like that for veterans and first responders for free is crazy. That has to cost like $150K per person.
Right, yeah.
Like the fact that they're able to get that size of funding is incredible. And it really speaks out to the community that's reaching out and supporting and knows like, hey, these are our people. They did their time. Right. Now it's time for us to give back to them.
It's so true. And it's got to cost 150 grand, man. Yeah. But you know what? In that same vein, you know what's crazy? Is they, along with others, don't have the easiest time of getting the funding that they need. And which is really sad if you think about it, because, you know, you get Congress and you get everybody talking about, oh, we want to support the vets. Well, you know, one signature of the pen could probably fund a program like this for a very long time. And yet, as you know, because you were at the gala, you know, they have to do these fundraisers. And thank God there are so many people out there like Christopher Ward. You saw him, you know, they're one of their directors come up and donate $100 grand or whatever it was. They need a lot of money to put this together. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
But the outcome is that you really are changing lives, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're changing lives. I feel like a different person, that I can go and be a productive member of society and do great things and hopefully be a positive influence, all because they were able to kind of help me through these other things. Not to mention, man, I gained like 8 pounds of muscle, which is pretty rare for my ass. So, you know, I'm pretty happy about that too.
Yeah, and one thing that really sticks out to me, it reminds me of a conversation I was having with a close buddy of mine who is in film, working on documentaries and such.
Sure.
And he's just like, do you really know the impact that has happened when they went from 22 a day to 17 a day as far as veteran suicides? I was like, no, not really. He's like, well, it really goes down to the reporting of it because it's not being tracked the same way. And on top of that, it takes it to where like, oh, we had a reduction in veteran suicides. That is not the way that it needs to be looked at, because 17 a day, 12 a day, 10 a day, 5 a day is way too fucking much.
Yeah.
And to have those conversations, like programs like Shields and Stripes should not have to have an issue getting funding.
Right.
Like money should be pouring from the skies, coming from either the government or like veteran organizations or things like that to put this forward, because this stuff is important.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's money out there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you say you want to support the vets, I'd encourage you to do so. You know, put your money where the mouth is. You're right. And the suicide thing is, dude, that's an incredibly hard and complex problem. I'll tell you a quick story. I had the honor of being at the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force's house in 2019. We were in D.C., big hoopla. It was really cool. And the Chief of Staff of the Air Force was there. So in the Air Force, our 4-star. And we were out in the back patio. There was like hors d'oeuvres or whatnot. And I'm sitting there like, you know, shit, like don't talk to me, you know? And he comes over and, yeah, how's the food? You know, oh yeah, good, sir. You know, where I put my hands. And he like kind of like dabs his mouth. His name was General Dave Goldfein, incredible guy, incredible leader. And he looks over at me, he goes, hey, AJ, can I ask you something? And I'm just sitting there, just some random ass dude, right, that happens to be there. And he says, what am I supposed, how do I get after this suicide thing, man? Like, how do I stop this? What do I do? And in my head, I'm thinking like, you're asking me? Like, you're the man. I'm not you're the man. But I realized in that moment that our top leadership across the Department of Defense, I think they genuinely care. Who the hell wants to see somebody kill themselves?
Yeah.
But I don't think they fully understand, and neither do I, to be frank, how to stop it, because we're seeing it more and more. And so with that said, when you go to a program like Shields and Stripes, imagine if just one of the 8 people, just in my cohort, maybe they were getting to that point, maybe they've been at that point, and they now have this holistic health approach for multiple weeks where it's all to them. What if that helped just one person get off the ledge, right? Like, that would be a win, I think, right? So that's why, to me, I want to shout from the rooftops on the importance of a program like Shields and Stripes and how it really is changing lives. Because I'm telling you, man, I've met a lot of these folks. People have some issues they're dealing with, and this program has helped all of us. We're all on the other side, I think, better human beings as a result.
I mean, it's really important. What is one thing that really sticks out to you about your time at Shields and Stripes, though?
Well, aside from what I allude to on the mental health, for me, for like a lot of vets, we get broken, I'm a young firefighter. The year's 2004. Get your ass up the stairs. You got 100 pounds of gear on. Nobody's telling you about ergonomics or some shit. You know what I mean? Like nobody. Yeah. So I think you just break down over time, right? You're doing PT and whatever. You're just not taking care of your body appropriately. And I think one of the things that stood out is I found it fascinating that my physical therapist, for instance, many people probably listening have been to a physical therapist, right? But there are levels to that, right? And so when you're with the dude who is simultaneously helping NFL and NBA players and WNBA players and whatnot all go get through an injury, learn about their individual body, and then get back to the professional athletics, that was an opportunity that I didn't want to miss. And so I was sitting there with my physical therapist. His name was Brady. And incredible dude. And he was telling me these things and putting me through these things that my other physical therapists that the military has sent me to for years have never even, it wasn't even a conversation, man. Like, they're sitting there telling you to do this like, weird little thing. And he's like, no, we got to load. We just got to load correctly. Here's how you breathe, right? Here's how you brace. And he was teaching me this professional level stuff, man. I would say that stood out the most is I learned a lot about my own body and how to like prevent my back from going out, and my knees from being bad. And dude, I feel like completely different, all just going through his protocol, So I would say that stood out a lot too from a physical standpoint.
I mean, there's so many opportunities in the military that they miss, where you're trained on the mission and those little finer details get kind of lost. So that's
a great way of putting it.
How many vets do you know that have like knee pain, back pain, things like that, just because they were never properly taught how to lift? Like, they were shown an instructional video or like, this is how you do it, and shown like 2 or 3 times, but never going through those foundations, especially since we have so many vets that join when they're like 18, 19 years old, and they don't learn how to be an adult first. So it's things like that should be preventable, but aren't, which I love that Shields and Stripes is addressing and putting forward and kind of resetting the meter and being like, hey, this is how you reduce and reheal and move forward.
Yeah, you're totally right. And a lot of it's like preventative too, right?
Yeah.
If you go to a doctor right now, are they going to tell you like, hey, you need to eat better? Like if you're overweight or whatever? No, they're gonna try to give you all these drugs or whatever. It's like, dude, the fact is you need to kind of have that mental wherewithal and the resilience and grit built in to know that it is about the basics.
Yes.
Right. I think the VA, I was reading a VA article and it said like the number one thing that veterans put on their disability claim is back pain. Right. Yes. So to your point, it's everything. But nowhere are we talking about how to brace or how to load appropriately. And coming up in the military, man, you know how it is. It's always like you walk in, you're like, oh, how much can I deadlift and all this stuff. It's like, bro, like without even learning any of the mechanics on how to do any of it properly, you're trying to load and you're bending your spine and all this stuff. Shields and Stripes taught me all the stuff we were working out. Almost everything was shit I've never seen before. And I was thinking like, you tell me I was going in the wrong direction for my entire life, And now I feel like a lot more solid and just I'm pain-free. I mean, that's insane. I haven't been pain-free in a decade.
I mean, it's the world's greatest fighting force. You'd think they would take the time to go through those things. But at the end of the day, it's mission oriented, and that is understandable. They don't have the time to teach every single person. This is how you walk. This is how you breathe. Breathe manually. That's not gonna. So it's like that give and take and stuff. I think
it is. I would argue though that there's a lot of things that we learned in the military, like our professional military education and in all these curriculum that we went through. I'd argue there's probably a lot of things we could take out and replace it with this kind of stuff, though. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like they don't teach financial literacy in school, right? And they don't teach it in the military. And then you get the young airman, the young sailor, whatever, comes in and with $50,000 in credit card debt and a brand new Tundra that they financed for 900 months at 20%. You know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean. I mean, there is some programs like in the Navy. We had the $1 Million Sailor, where you would go through and you could sign up for this course, and every couple of months you'd learn a little bit or two about how to use your investments, what to do with your thing, like if you should rent or real estate or whatever and purchase. So there are those programs out there, but you have to know where to look. And just for your average Joe, they're not going to look into those things because you have to fight to even have the time to be able to take off work to go do them.
Yeah, you almost have to. Yeah, that's a great point. You almost have to be purposeful in your own kind of unit and to, hey, we're going to do a lunch and learn on finances. Because I remember we had a lunch and learn on finances, and I was trying to teach them a little bit about kind of how equity markets work and like just basic stuff. And the very first question I got was, oh, hey, Chief, Doge to the moon, right? Doge? And you're just like, well, what is Doge? Shit, I don't know, but it's going up, And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of like chasing and they just don't understand. And honestly, it's basic. When somebody in process, they're 18-year-old young airmen, the first thing you should do is do whatever you can to force them to put 10% of their gross pay into the TSP. I mean, just, hey, man, I don't care what you do with your life. Put 10% in. Do me that solid right now, and then call me in 20, 30 years and thank me that I was willing to do that. Sometimes you have to, do what's right, even if they don't know it's right,
Yeah. 10% of the match, do that bare minimum, so at least you're getting the military to match your...
It's free money.
Perfect. And another thing that I noticed that a lot of people that are like fresh little airmen or soldiers or Marines, they don't take it out of the G fund.
I know.
And that is a huge thing. That's basically like putting your money in a savings account and let it be there. Like, oh, I'm saving money. I'm investing.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're just...
It's interesting that they default to the G fund, right? Like, so, which to your point, they do. It starts in the G fund, and you have to actually manually take it out of that to put it in, the S&P or whatever, the C fund. That is weird that they do that because the G fund's making no money, But yeah, so the bottom line is financial literacy. we probably need to teach it a little more.
Perfect. And we're going to take a brief break. When we get back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into your Air Force experience and what you learned as far as leadership, being a chief.
I think with the military too, like it kind of teaches you like failure is not an option.
People always want to hear stories because we don't want to forget. And I'll never forget because I can't.
And so we lost more people here than we did over there. And the truth is, no one gives a shit. That period of time that we had, that was it. You had no idea that was going to be the last fucking time you were going to laugh with your friend. That was the last fucking time you're going to go on a ride. The last fucking time we did something, right? Last time I was having a phone call. Last time, hey, you don't even realize that. And it's just tough. And there's nothing you can do about it.
So, being a chief in the Air Force, how was that?
First of all, it's different than being a chief in the Navy. But I had to get that one out there.
Yeah.
So being a chief, it's a big honor. I would say that the coolest thing about being a chief, though, for sure, is if people are your purpose, you really get to showcase that once you make it to that rank, because you don't have to. I don't want to say play the game, but you don't have to you don't really matter. And I love that more than anything. I did not, I didn't want to sell me all the time, right? I just really wanted to be in a position that I can influence people. So being a chief was about that. It was just about giving 100% of my time and energy towards others so that so they can have great journeys themselves.
What's one thing about leadership that you learned being a chief that you wish you could go back and scream at younger you to learn that lesson prior?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
So what could I scream at younger me to learn that lesson prior? Once I started, this is going to sound crazy for anyone in the military watching this, going to be like, this guy. But it's the truth. Once I started like questioning things, once I started being like, that's stupid, my career actually took off. That took form in process improvement. I went through a class, it's called like Green Belt, and it's basically how to learn like Lean Six Sigma kind of principles and how to look at things in your environment that are waste, right? And it just resonated with me so much. I really, really enjoyed it. The class, the guy who ran the innovation cell there, this is in Germany, he knew I loved it. Long story short, he had to go home. He had to go back to the States for good. He had, there was a personal situation with his wife, like medically. And he approaches me in the coffee shop there on base, and he's like, hey, AJ, I know you loved it. What do you think about taking over the innovation thing? And I'm like, hold on, dude, I loved it, but what are you saying? Long story short, I was able to do that, and that really had me like questioning why about everything. And I was in a position where my entire job was to, say, hey, Brenton, what's a big pain in your ass? I'm gonna help you fix it. That like is the thing I would probably tell my younger self is the faster you can kind of understand that if you're in the right environment and your boss isn't a dick, and they empower you, as soon as you start questioning things, you can make a real difference in the military because let's be honest, man, it is a massive bureaucracy and there is waste everywhere. So it's like fishing with dynamite basically, but it takes you being in a position where you have leadership that supports you, coming with problems and solutions, So that's what I would tell my younger self is I wish I would have done that even earlier, and had the courage to step up earlier and not just kind of like swim with the stream.
Yeah, I mean, agile methodologies are huge to focus on the problem versus the bigger picture, having that dedicated team to attack what's wrong. And I love agile methodologies, whether it's Lean Six Sigma or whether it is Scrum or whether it's project management. It's something that you can easily address and put forward into everyday life.
Yeah, well, you said it perfectly on, Albert Einstein said if you had 10 minutes to solve the world's greatest problem, spend 9.5 minutes on the problem and 30 seconds on the solution or whatever it is. To your point, a lot of people, that say, hey, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. Well, how do you even know that's a good solution if you're not really thoroughly looking at where the gaps are in the problem? So that's perfect. And like I said, learning how to do that and going back to my work center and saying, hey, here's the problem set, here's the data to support it. You're the boss, you make a data-driven decision, but I'm going to give you that data. That questioning why really helped my career go into the right places. So
because it's all about asking the right questions, because there is no such thing as a dumb question.
That's right.
Even though it may feel like it sometimes. It's just like, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. But like asking questions and learning and making mistakes is how you develop as a person. Yeah. And there's no way to be perfect right from the get-go.
Dude, I've asked the dumbest questions on earth in a class before, to where like you ask the dumbass question, you look around, and you're like, shit, I'm the only one? And then we go to like a break and everyone goes, oh, bro, I was thinking the same thing. I was wondering what that was. I'm like, well, thanks for the backup in there. You know what I mean? Usually when you're asking a question, whether you think it's dumb and you perceive it as dumb or not, there's usually a bunch of people who are thinking the same thing that they just don't have the courage to ask.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit about what you did in the Air Force. Like, what was your day-to-day like?
Yeah, well, I'm like Dory with my memory, it feels like, I started in 2003. I knew I wanted to be a firefighter because my dad was a volunteer firefighter. It was shortly after 9/11. And I mean, when you're a young single guy, you could tell the girls you're a firefighter. It works, so you gotta do that too. Yeah, and so I was just a firefighter, man. Day to day, there's like a misconception that it's like firefighters don't do anything unless there's a call and all that. That's just not true. Like firefighters, I would argue, have to know more than many professions. And in the Air Force, we had more career development courses than any other specialty code in the Air Force. Because, you have to know you have to be medics, and you have to know fire, and you have to know rescue stuff and medical stuff and aircraft stuff and hazmat stuff. It's a lot. So day to day, it's really just, you get in there and you just train. You got to know your environment. So your community, you have to know it inside and out. Because if there's a fire in a building and everything's, you can't see, well, you better hope you kind of have an idea of how that building works, right? Just a lot of training, As I moved up the ranks, though, it was really a lot of leading people. A lot of, it was, when I say, my purpose is people, I really mean it. It was really about the influence. I'll tell you this. I learned calm is contagious. When you're in the fire service, you get in some weird ass situations where it's pretty easy to freak out. When I was the assistant chief for operations the first time, I go on my first kind of big call, and I'm freaking the hell out. And I noticed everyone downstream is freaking out. And I learned in that moment, oh shit, when I would look at the people I would look up to, they were always very calm in the most crazy situations. So that's something that I learned a lot and I carried forward on a day-to-day, is just being that calm presence that is, confident in the decision-making and really just taking care of people. Dude, it's like everything. It's a people business. If the people aren't first, man, who gives a shit about sales or numbers or whatever? It's a people business in the Air Force. So I was very proud to serve, over 2 decades because of that.
I didn't realize that Air Force firefighters really had to focus on everything. Yeah. I thought there would be like separate teams, like one for like residential fires over in the barracks, or one for like working on airplanes. So it's all one thing.
Yeah, and you don't even know. Each day you might be on a different thing. So like, say it's a Monday and I start shift, I could be on the big truck that only works the airfield. So therefore I need to know everything about every aircraft that comes or goes. That's every shutdown procedure, where the exits are, how much fuel does it hold. And then the next day I go to shift and I'm on the rescue truck and I need to know about high angle rescue, low angle rescue, confined space rescue. It's a lot. And then you might leave after 2-3 years because you PCS to another station and your community is completely different. You have completely different hazards, right? Now all of a sudden you got a railroad going through the base. You didn't have that at the other place. So what's on the rail? Is it hazardous materials? Well, how do I figure that out? It's unique, man. It challenges your brain a lot. And, I really enjoyed that.
So adapting, overcoming with problem solving is definitely something that like tickles your brain in a way that like you feel good a little bit.
I do. I like that. That's a good way of putting it, man. I think, look, I'd be remiss. Every chief has a silly ass acronym. Okay. So I'm going to hit you with mine. Yes, it's FIRE, F-I-R-E. Okay. And that's something that as I try to distill what are like the leadership lessons and methodologies that I've learned in my career, I narrowed it down to FIRE. And so if you'd indulge me, I'll walk you through that. So
let's go.
The F is first things first. I told you earlier, man, I've been divorced, right? I was putting the wrong things first. Where are your priorities? Put first things first. Your family, when I had my retirement ceremony, it was only my family in the first row and the colleagues and friends that wanted to support me that mattered the most. My entire career didn't matter in that moment. Who gives a shit about the ribbons or whatever, the medals? It was really your family. And every single time I did not put first things first, bad things happened. So I would say first things first in leadership is put first things first. If you are the leader, that means first things first is your people. You want them to come to work and be like, this is freaking great culture to be a part of.
Yeah.
Put first things first. I sat in a staff meeting 6-8 months ago. I had all my staff there and I said, hey, before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Do you guys what do you think about the culture here? We go around, everyone, yeah, it's pretty cool, man. We have cool little traditions built in the fire service. Yeah, I love the culture. How much would you need to make more to be in a culture where every day you go to work and you say, this place sucks? And it was interesting, man. It was like literally 100 grand, 150 grand. You're like, no shit. So you would take 100 grand less, 150 grand less to be in the right culture, right? So I learned that culture matters more to most people than how much money they're making. So put first things first and you'll be all right. The second one is I, right? In the FIRE acronym, implement radical truth and radical transparency at all levels. So radical truth meaning like sometimes, dude, the fucking truth hurts.
Yeah.
Right? But if you beat around the bush, like you're never going to get to the shared outcome that you desire. And radical transparency means when you have somebody on the bottom of the organizational totem pole, they have a piece of the pie too. And so what we did was we just allowed everyone to go to every meeting. You could be like the brand new Proby firefighter and you can go into the executive staff meeting if you want. You know why? Because you should know everything that's going on. Hoarding information was the antithesis of like us having positive outcomes in the business. So implementing radical truth and transparency, that's on my coin too. I believe in it so much. And then the R is, remember where you came from. When we were young, right? Like, and you were young in the Navy, like, how many times did you just be like, why they got us doing this? Shit's dumb, right?
Yeah.
There are some things that we were just ignorant, right? And we realize, okay, that's why. But then there was a lot of things where, you get into a position where you can make the decision and it's like, no, that's still dumb. So I'm not going to make my people go do that because it's a dumb thing. So remember where you came from. I think a lot of times people get in positions in life and they just forget that we're all the freaking same, man. Right? We were in the fire business. We were all Sparky. I was in the freaking costume too, sweating my ass off, right? Just like everybody else. We all work our way and earn our way. So remember where you came from when you are in the position to influence. And then finally, E, it kind of goes back to the process improvement stuff, which is empowerment at all levels. The best ideas usually don't come from the very top, Brenton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They come from somewhere in the in-between. But do those people have the courage to raise their hand when something's stupid? You have to set that environment, and it's not easy, and it takes a long time to set up, and it can be destroyed right away. Like with one comment you make, you can shut everyone down, and they'll be like, oh, well, no, shit, I'm not going to speak up. Yeah, right. The dude's going to whatever, Empowerment at all levels, if you really mean it, you'll set the environment for a long time to where people with the best ideas, it's an idea meritocracy, the best idea wins. It doesn't matter about your rank. So that's how I came up with FIRE. And that's kind of like my leadership acronym that I really believe in. And it's kind of I kind of distilled all the things I learned. And those 4 things I would say matter most to me as a leader in the Air Force.
I love it because people first is the thing that matters most in this world.
Yeah.
Like you really need to be putting every single person that you meet in the forefront and learning to live in other people's shoes first. And FIRE really shows you can't walk the walk unless you're talking the talk at the same time. And I love that. So as someone that's going through the transitional process right now, what is something that has been a revelation for you that you would like to share to someone who is maybe about to start transitioning out of the military that you think they could help learn from?
That's an awesome question, man. Thanks for that opportunity too, because coming here, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, if I get the opportunity to tell people that maybe getting out soon, what would I say? First things first, man, like your rank literally means like shit.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things is people, like when you have an idea in the military, like you're talking to like the stripes or the stars or whatever the hell, right, their rank. And like you could have somebody like with one stripe have a great idea and it's like, cool, man, thanks, bro. And then another person who has a whole bunch says the exact same thing. It's like, yeah, let's go with that. And then groupthink takes over, right? We're all nodding. Your rank means nothing when you get out, man. Like I feel like, 1 minute, I got the big office and I'm, oh, hey, what do you think about that? Oh, yeah, yes, sir, yeah. And the next I walk outside here in Vegas and I'm like, hello? Hello? Does anybody like need me? Can I help anybody? Your rank has nothing to do with anything, man. Like your character, your integrity would be the only things that that go forward. And then the second thing I would say is start thinking about what like skills, notably soft skills, did you learn and acquire in your experience in the military that you can market yourself with on the outside? Because I have also learned through lots of interviews. I'll take all kinds of interviews just to kind of learn the landscape. We are very marketable. We come with great experience, education, and these soft skills that I think a lot of these big companies are looking for. So I would say start thinking about what are those skills that make you marketable, and that rank has nothing to do with anything. It just doesn't. Oh, and start going to medical because, dude, nobody gives a shit about your medical problems except for you. And you really need to make sure your stuff is in order so you get the disability that you deserve, because a lot of people, they'll wait till the very end, man, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, my back's been fucked up for 10 years. I was like, well, we don't see anything on the record.
Yeah.
And now you're starting from scratch to try to build that profile. So those are the three things. Your rank doesn't mean anything when you get out. So hopefully you have great character. Hopefully you're a man or a woman of integrity. Soft skills that need to translate to being marketable. What are your skills? They could be hard skills too. And then your medical. Start now. If you're like a year out, just go hard. Go to the clinic every day. Who cares? Be annoying, but make sure it's on your record.
Yeah. And one thing that a lot of service members don't realize, which is like a breadcrumb of information that'll take you a long way.
Wow.
You can call the nurse advice line, and anything you talk about on the nurse advice line while you're active duty goes into your medical record. It counts the exact same as a consultation. And because when the VA goes through and they search through everything, they just look for the keywords, and having addressed those things, it's an easy thing. So if it's something just like, man, this is not worth going to medical, I don't want to waste half my day sitting in the queue waiting, and then finally just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, it's an easy way to get through with it, and make sure that things are documented, so that way you have a lot easier time when you transition out.
Man, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Even if you, like you said, you don't want to go to the clinic, got it, you don't want to wait in line, pick up the phone. Because if it's not in the record, it's not going to matter to when you're doing the disability claim. And I think there's probably a good contingent of veterans that get a lower rating than they probably deserve.
Yes.
Because they're simply not doing their part of the deal, which is go tell somebody that you have this issue, get help for the issue.
And if you're still active duty, utilize programs that are outside of the clinic as well. You have TRICARE Prime when you're in the service, and you have access to programs like Doctors on Demand, which is 100% telehealth, covered while you're active duty.
Yep,
you can get things like mental health. You can call them and get medication for a cold. You can ask them basically anything that's ailing you. They'll do it via like something like a FaceTime.
Right. And it's all on your record.
It's all in your record. It makes things really easy.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Bottom line is get it on your record.
Yeah.
And also when you go to do your disability claim, I found that you need help. I didn't know what to do exactly. I mean, I had an idea, but I started reaching out to peers and people, the VSOs and whatnot. They're there to help you, man. And they really do want you to maximize that benefit that you've earned. And if you do it alone, you could probably mess something up that would cost you. I mean, this is tax-free dollars we're talking about. So, yeah.
I mean, in Las Vegas, there are not enough VSOs to handle the majority of veterans here, period. There should be more. You have to think about it. There's over 120,000 veterans within an hour-and-a-half radius of where we're at right now.
Wow.
And there needs to be more of those resources for people. And so that's why there's great for-profit businesses that are helping vets who can't get through to the VSO system, that cannot become a member of the VFW, that can't get a hold of their American Legion VSO. So if you're not doing something, that's the only time you're doing something wrong, is if you're not actively engaging. Because I've met vets who are 70 years old that never had a VA rating and had like a terrible back, terrible knees. And they're like, oh, this is because of when I was in the service, but I didn't deserve it. Right. You served your nickel. You need to go for it and get the things that you earned because you did it.
That imposter syndrome is real, though. I felt that at Shields and Stripes. You go in and you have your own trauma, but do I deserve to be here? Is my shit fucked up enough? Kind of deal. The answer is yeah, you need to. So to your point, don't be the tough guy and be like, oh, I don't deserve it because, so-and-so, in the Marines is in a foxhole. And you're right. Everyone has it worse and better than you. But that doesn't mean that you're not important and that you didn't serve. When you serve and you allow the military to dictate your entire life, along the way, when there are those bumps and bruises, need to be documented so you can be compensated. And that was hard for me too, man. I had a imposter syndrome a lot, where it's like I would see people get 100%, and I would think, okay, yeah, I have some stuff, but is it really worthy of 100%? I had to get over myself in that and say, wait a second, they they made me go on that deployment where I broke my foot or whatever, right? Like I didn't have a choice. So I need to make sure that I claim those things and just kind of like drop the ego a little bit, drop the pride, and claim these things that you've been through.
The one thing that holds a lot of people back from getting the disability benefits that they deserve, which I don't care about the money. Like your monthly thing that you get is not the biggest part of it. It's all the benefits that come with it. It's having access to things like VR&E. It's having access to go see doctors for the things that you need to see so the rest of your life doesn't have to feel like a struggle.
Man, that's so true.
But you need to be straightforward. You need to be honest with your providers. You need to say, hey, this is what I'm actually dealing with, not just like, I'm okay. Like everything's fine, because you don't want to talk about it. That's the older generation. We're here in 2025. We need to address like, hey, these things are out there. You need to put them forward.
How many times do you go by somebody and you're like, what's up, man? Hey, what's up? How you doing? Good, good. But are they? Are they good? Right? It's the same thing. It's like, dude, it's okay. Like, just, you know, if you're not good, say you're not good. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And that's why we're running our Stories Over Stigma campaign, where we talk about things like anxiety, depression, mental health, suicidal tendencies. We talk about night terrors, nightmares, things that you witnessed and have that you carry with you, that baggage that you are issued while you're in service, that you still carry on your back every single day, but so many people pretend like it's not there, and they don't take the time to realize, okay, boom, 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 boom. I'm in a room full of vets, and everyone here knows exactly what I'm going through.
Yeah, it's totally relatable.
Because the one thing that is going to help out vets more than anything is breaking that isolation and reaching out and discussing what they're going through with other people. And that's why things like Shields and Stripes is so important, because it gets people who are like-minded going through similar things and experiencing together. I really love talking about that with you, brother.
Yeah. And look, you know me, I don't work for Shields and Stripes, right? I'm just I'm just a dude who had the opportunity to go through it for it. But I'll tell you, Shields and Stripes, if you're a veteran and you have any sort of issues or trauma or whatever, you need to look at Shields and Stripes, read Steve's story. They're incredible. You know, I can't say enough about it, because it does remove that stigma. And when we're in the class, man, like we were all together that first day, you're like, you know, I don't know, what am I supposed to say, whatever. As soon as the ice was broken and everyone was kind of vulnerable in one room, there were like the most productive conversations that don't happen on the normal day-to-day. It's because everyone knew they were in a safe environment to talk about things. And, you know, and to me, man, I deepen relationships with people when we're talking real. You know what I mean? When it's superficial, it's cool. We're acquaintances, maybe friends, but you have to get through those layers if you really want to deepen a meaningful relationship with someone.
Because people are people.
People are people, brother.
AJ, hey, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks,
I would
man.
shake your hand, but we're a little far.
Thanks, brother.
Peace.